So in relation to the last video that I put up concerning the HIV, married, unmarried, and then the things you ought to do to take care of yourself, I want to add on. So if you haven't watched that one, please quickly go to my channel and then get that. Yes. I want to talk about some medical examinations that we need to go through as a couple before you tie the knot. These are very important in conjunction because I had a lot of questions and I want to address this in a brief video. If you want any in-depth explanation as to any one of the tests I'm about to talk or I'm about to do the video on, you can just drop a comment in the comment section below and then I would address that. And so, hi guys, you're welcome to another episode of the Doctor's Quarters. Dr. Harriet France here. I missed you guys. Actually, last week I wasn't able to put up a video because I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was exhausted. You know, these things hardly get to me, but last week was very bad. But thank God I was able to get the weekend off to recuperate and I feel a lot better. I hope you're also doing fantastic and very well. Let's get right into the video. Premarital medical exams. Speaking strictly from a medical point of view. Are you married already? If you are, please let me know the kind of tests or examinations that were requested, right? Let me know if any at all. And then the duration, that's the important thing I want to bring out or come across to you so that you are, on guard. Most of these things I've always been saying, you might know them, but if your attention is not drawn to them, you kind of sweep them under the carpet or the rag and they might be detrimental, very, very detrimental to your life and then that of your partner. So it's important we get these things done, right? So again, like I always say, something that happened last week drew my attention to it. A patient I saw, and then all these things unfolded. So I'll let you know her story as we move along. But the very first thing I want us to know when it comes to a couple about to tie the knot or wanting to spend the rest of their lives together has to do with, number one, the first ever test you guys can undergo is the honesty test. Trust me, once that is taken care of and properly, I mean thoroughly dealt with, 99.9% of all these tests or every trouble is taken care of. Be honest with each other. Be honest. Maybe there's a condition the person doesn't know about and has no way of knowing about unless they get to live with you. You let them know about it. You're going to be spending the rest of your life with someone. You don't want to hide some of these things. They would come to light or come to bear at the end of the day. And then what? Probably you might have destroyed the other person's life or whatever. So first, you take your honesty test and then it is very, very important. And then before we even go on to the real tests, exactly, I would urge you to get a reputable facility to run these tests at. Because most of these things, they are human operated. Even with the machines, it's humans that operate the machines. So there are certain errors here and there. So you get a facility which is trustworthy, one that has a good reputation, one that probably you have a history with that you can trust, and then you go there for the test. If the best would be a mutual one that none of you are affiliated to, so you guys come together and then you choose one which is neutral, not one that probably where I work at I decide to do it there and all that. Some of these tests can be tampered with. So you get a neutral place, one that you can trust to deliver. And if possible, get a second opinion on some of the tests. around the same time that you are running in this hospital, you also go here and run, and then compare the results. These are very, very important. This is the rest of your life we're talking about, so you don't want some mistakes. So number one, after we've done our honesty test, we want to go on and then do our blood group for both of you. You want to know your blood group. He wants to know his blood group, because there would definitely be mixing of blood at some level. I know. If you want to know the in-depth understanding of this, you can let me know in the comment section below and I'll touch on it. Some will be saying, some people think it's not important, my blood group and my husband's blood group. My blood will not be mixing with that of my husband, so there will be no problem. But there will definitely be mixing at the level of pregnancy and childbirth, right? So yes, yourself and your husband will not be, mixing your blood anyway. But that child that your husband will put in you has half of your husband's genes, and it's going to be in the woman, and there will be mixing of blood. So there's definitely going to be mixing of blood at a certain level. Not with husband and wife, yes, but when the child comes. So it's very important that you know your blood group, and then he also knows his blood group. Secondly, you take your sickling test. It's very important that you know your sickling status. I've done a video on sickle cell. You can just check it out in my videos. Just look for it, you find it, and I'll try and link it up there if possible. You want to get your hepatitis B, hepatitis C screen done, right? You want to get your syphilis, your STIs, STDs, your syphilis, your gonorrhea, your chlamydia, your genital herpes. You want to get all these done. You want to get your HIV done, and most importantly, your HPV, human papilloma virus. I also had a video, my last two videos was on the human papilloma virus, and then its association with association. Wow. I'm not tired, guys. Association, yes, it's association, yes, with what do we call it, cervical cancer, yes. So you need to get that also checked out. And one thing that sometimes doesn't come up is a pregnancy test. It's very important for the woman to get a pregnancy test done. And then also, I know for this one, we're in Africa, in our part of the world, it's not really taken seriously, but you need a mental health assessment done on both of you, because there are conditions, there are a lot of people living with mental health disorders, a lot of them actually. And during the dating period, probably, you pick me up, we go for lunch, we go for dinner, we spend some time together, and you're off to your house, I'm also off to my house. You're living your life differently, I'm also living my life differently, only for us to come together after marriage. And then when we come together, you begin to discover that this person is probably depressed, and it will affect the other person. This person might probably have some schizophrenia somewhere. It's a whole lot, but we tend to neglect it. I mean, we're basking in the happy, and we're going out and we're surprises and all that. Don't be too surprised when you get into your marriage and you find out about some of these things. So a mental health assessment is very important. And last but not the least, a hormonal assessment is also very important. You don't want to wait until after you've gotten married and maybe you want kids, and then you go in and you realize things are not working, and you now want to go and run a hormonal studies to check. These things are in-depth. They are actually females walking around who are males. Physically, they not that they are transgender, no. That is genetically, that's their makeup. They are females on the outside and everything, but when you go into the depth of their genes, they are actually males. And some of these things, hormonal studies will reveal everything. And then you know what you are walking into. You boldly walk into these things, knowing all the facts and having all the facts and ready to defend and then go hard at it in any way and every way. So before I come to, the important part of everything, so this 29-year-old walks into my facility with oral sores. She has sores all over in her mouth, and according to her, she's been married for 7 months, and she said 3-4 months into the marriage she started experiencing cold-like symptoms. So she'll be sneezing, she'll be coughing, headache. It comes and goes. She'll have them, then in a week it's gone, then the next month it will happen again. In a month she can be in and out of it like 10-15 times, and then finally the sores in her mouth came about. So she decided to come to the hospital for us to check her out. So when she came, we ran all our tests, everything was negative. It's like, well, it doesn't hurt. We asked her for permission to run an HIV test, and she laughed. Honestly, the lady laughed her lungs out that she's never known any other man except her husband, and before they got married they ran the HIV screen and everything, and he's fine, she's fine, she's not done anything elsewhere and all that, so she doesn't think it's necessary. We said, well, we would want to run it either ways, it doesn't take much. So she still laughed and laughed, and we took our sample, we went to run it, and lo and behold, it came out positive. Yes. It was heartbreaking. I wish you could have been there to see her cry her eyes out and feel like the world had come to an end for her. Honestly, it was heartbreaking. 7 months into her marriage, she was celibate before getting married, and she's not known any other man except her husband. So the husband had to come in, and we tested him, and of course, positive, big one. And in this case, it's sad. It's a sad story I'm talking to us, because he actually genuinely did not know. They had agreed not to have sex until marriage, right? So with her, he never did anything. But even as they were preparing for the marriage, he had a girl, someone he was just sleeping around with, even though he was going to marry this one. And they actually ran the HIV test. They did, and it came back negative. So they happily married. They happily got married, and then 7 months into the marriage, it looks like the whole world has come crashing on them. What is my point? I did my research, and I realized that churches would give you the forms for you to go and run these medical tests a month or two to the date of your wedding. They do that a month or two. For some of these tests, that's fine, like your sickling status, your blood group, hepatitis B, hepatitis C screen. Some of these things, it makes sense and it's fine. But for conditions like HIV and then the HPV, the human papilloma virus, they work in such a way that when they get into your system, they don't just get in there and then disseminate through your bloodstream and start showing off. No, they get in there and they do underground work. Try to destroy all your fighting, or all your fighting system, your immune system. They try to get the better of you, and then now they can show off. So these tests, when you run them, sometimes they mostly come back negative, and usually that is when they have now gotten into your system fresh, right? Whatever machine will not pick it up until 6 months. So if you've ever run an HIV test before, they would tell you, even if it was negative, they would tell you to come back in 6 months time and rerun it. That is when, if at all you have it, it will show. HPV, you will be asked to go and come back 6 months again until it's fully blown. That's when they will be able to catch it. So I'm letting you know all the tests that I have spoken about, most of them, yes, you can just run them once and you're fine. After probably you cross-check with another hospital, like your blood group, one might say O positive, you go here O negative, then you can now see the discrepancy and sort them out. Your genotype, AA, SS, you deal with that once and for all. But for something like HIV, for something like human papilloma virus, you need to do it, repeat it 6 months time, if possible another 6 months from the time you repeated, do it again, then you are sure. And then now you can enter into your marriage knowing full well that we are fully sure that there's nothing, or the virus is not in there. So should you get it at all, then it would mean that it happened after marriage, right? These things, I know sometimes some people say that, okay, like people would have a lot of things to say about this, but watch and pray. That's what the Bible says. You don't just pray and pray and pray. And yes, I know when we are going to get married, prayer is number one. We're told to pray and pray and pray. But some of these things, God has given us the wisdom and the understanding to move according to. So that 1 month to time and you did it and it was fine and all that, really, this is the situation we are facing now. Look, if this couple had repeated this test 6 months time, instead of their marriage almost crumbling now, by now they would have known that, okay, he was positive, and so it's either we are putting off the wedding or we are getting you treatment, we are going through counseling, then we know how to go about it, so that I will, even though I marry you, I don't get infected, and our children are also fine, and even you are also on medications and you are doing very well for yourself. It could have been that simple. And so as a couple, the very minute you decide that, okay, we want to get married next year, please go and get your test done. Yes, go and get it done. Repeat it, especially for those who are not indulging in sexual activity. Especially for those who are not, even for those who are. You do it, repeat it 6 months time, repeat it again. Probably the third time might be the time where your pastor gives you the list that now it's time for you to go and get those tests done. Then you do that as your final, not your one and only. No. So as for, like I said, the earlier ones I mentioned, you can do them once and you're done. But for HIV, HPV, these two, and even for the sake of the mental health assessment, these things take time. So you can start at the day you decide, you start going to see a psychologist, they start speaking to you and all that. Then they let you know that, look, I feel like this one of you has this issue, and then together you deal with it. If you think you can't deal with it too, it is better you call off an engagement than enter into marriage and then you find out that the rest of your life is messed up. It is indeed the rest of your life. So I thought to come here and draw our minds to this. Yes, the pastor, I don't know, maybe the churches or whoever gives out these things has to also be educated. We will do that little by little from our corner, and I'm sure these things will spread up. But it is your life and it is your partner's life. So when you agree to settle, you go for your tests, repeat in 6 months, and then let the pastor's own be the final, and then you give it off and you are done. I hope this really, really gives you value. If you're a bride-to-be, it's not too late. You can always go get these things done. It is better to take caution. It is better to, some will say, yes, spend money on these things. It's better. I'm sure this woman would give any and everything to go back and turn back the hands of time to repeat. If she would have repeated like 10 times, it doesn't matter the amount of money she would have spent, rather than to be in the situation that she is in right now. So I am excited that you stayed till the end of this video. If you have any questions, or you want me to elaborate on any of the tests and how important it is and why you need to do them before you get married, let me know in the comment section below. I would try and make a video for you to get the understanding and all that. If you haven't hit on the subscribe button, please do so, and then the like is right near it. You just hit on that and the notification button as well, and I'll be very glad if you share the link to as many people. This is very important and it has to get out there. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.